This is my messy office, and today I'm gonna tell you the story of Bahrain. Of course, this is the flag of Bahrain, red and white. Now, the story of Bahrain, the reason to tell it is because my Canadian friends keep on asking me what's going on in Bahrain. We've never heard about this country before. I say, sure, Bahrain is a very small country. These are my slides here, so I'm gonna go one by one. Bahrain is a tiny country in the Gulf. It has 600,000 people, natives, and maybe same number of people who are guests to the country. We love them all. They're all very good people who are living in Bahrain. Some of those what we call guests, well, some of them, very small amount, they call them mercenaries, and I'm going to talk about them later on, that the government thought they may need their help one day just to bring in some balance in the island, because our royals, that I'm going to tell you their story in a minute, they really like to bring balance in matters of life. So the country of Bahrain basically being a tiny island, and we've been really so peaceful in the Gulf. 200 years ago, a small tribe in Saudi Arabia that even the Saudis themselves could not take. They kicked them out to, some people say, Qatar. And imagine, they went all the way to Qatar, which is another Gulf country in the area. And in Qatar at that time, I don't even know if there were people living, but anyway, it looks like even the Qatari peoples could not take them. Maybe even the land could not take them. So they kicked them out. So where did they go to? They looked around and they just saw this peaceful area, peaceful island in the Gulf called Bahrain. They said, you know what, those guys are very peaceful. Maybe we're just gonna go and take it over. That's exactly what they did. They just went to that island. They took it over. They just landed in the area, on the coast. Their guy, I think they called him Ahmed Al-Fatih. Imagine, they called the guy who took the island Al-Fatih, meaning the opener, or the victorious. I don't know what did he open. Open the houses of Bahrain? Was it close to be opened? But anyway, he opened it. What I think they meant, he opened the houses of Bahrain, he took their wealth and robbed them. And that's what they called him, Al-Fatih, the opener. Anyway, unfortunately, the Bahrainis, which is fortunate they are very peaceful. They thought, you know what, we're known to be peaceful, we don't really want bloodshed. They kept this family with them for 200 years. They were taking the money, maybe the oil, which which was discovered in the 70s. But the people said, wait a minute, 70 years of oil production, where is that wealth going into? They looked around and they looked at the houses of those guys getting bigger and bigger. Their wealth is getting bigger and bigger. And the people, surprise, surprise, getting poorer and poorer. Okay, so someone decided maybe we're gonna go to the second slide here. Said, guys, maybe it's time for the royals just to be ordinary. Maybe this bread trickles down is not really working. It looks like it's not really trickling anywhere. It's just getting concentrated, and they're friends and they're royal members. So they thought maybe it's time for them to go out. So what did they do? People of Bahrain are very peaceful. So they said, people of Bahrain chanted peace. But the royals really don't like anyone to scream on their faces. So they replied with, of course, tears. All what the Bahrainis said, just we wanted this. Freedom for Bahrain. But the royal family said, that's not gonna happen. So of course, what did they do? And that's where the story of the 600,000 has a continue, which brings us all the way to here. The Bahrain army. Bahrain army, in every country, the army usually is made of its own people. But in Bahrain, it looks like we don't have that many. We just have lots of people we can just borrow from outside. So we made an army with a bit of natives, of course, who loves the family, and some those who makes no difference. And then we used that army just to bring in some control and order at the island. Well, just only 8 dead, 400 injured, and the 70 missing. Those which, of course, we have no clue where they are. They could be also dead, but nobody knows where they are right now. Anyway, they did this in 5 days just because the people of Bahrain asking peacefully and politely for change. Gosh, imagine if they were not peaceful and polite. Gosh. So, I'm sure the Bahrain royals really like class, because at the end they said, well, this is really not working, so we're gonna ask the army to withdraw, because the media was basically not happy with this. People were not happy with this. So of course the media showed all those atrocities. So the Bahrainis found some support from all over the map. But since we're in Canada, we just want to say that the people of Canada really love you guys. The people of Canada love the people of Bahrain. Now, of course, the Bahraini government is also supported by, of course, who else other than this one here, Uncle Sam. Whereas there's always Uncle Sam, you see some trouble sometimes, you know. They don't really mean it, but sometimes they misjudge. So we say to Uncle Sam, you know, the Bahraini royals are really not so cool. Bahrain royals, really fool, you know. This bloodshed, I think for you, go and look for someone else. So now, what's happened with the Bahraini royals? Of course, the Bahraini royals, they used to, whenever they are in trouble, they say, we want to talk. And they wanted to talk, of course, because each time they talk, things cools down, they negate. Now, I think what's happening, that the people, the kids of Bahrain, who are there, it looks they have grown up. I don't think they're gonna listen so much to what the royals wants to say, because what they're gonna tell them, listen, we just go back to your homes and things goes back to where it used to be, that's what they were doing for the last decades, like 30 years, 40 years. And my dad, he told me once he'd been hit by a bullet in the 50s where they were having a labor dispute and people died on the 70s, and then in the 80s people been arrested, and then in the 2000s, and almost like every 10 years, you know what, and they keep on changing. They don't keep a promise. It looks like royals having bad habit of breaking up promises. So the people of Bahrain, now the kids who are grown up, they said, we take you to this slide here, which says, Bahrain government, 3 strikes, you're out. 3 strikes, you're out. And now it's for the government, of course, to be out. Now, what about the royals? I think for the royals, you just have to be ordinary right now. I think, you know, what's wrong with being ordinary? Already have 200 years. I think you must have some money. You know what? I think it's time to either stay in the country as ordinaries, like me and my friends and your neighbors. If you want to participate in the government, sure, just nominate yourself and people will elect you. May not, but anyway, try it. But you're not the fathers of the country anymore. It looks time is changed. So the royals of Bahrain, this is your golden opportunity, because you don't really want to get the people really mad, because there are still 600,000 people, more than you. You don't want them to get mad, because then they may not even leave you in the country. You really don't want this to happen. So if I were you, I'll ask Mr. Sam here just to stop supporting you, okay? And for you guys here to smarten up and just be ordinary. No more, you know, this business of constitution and monarch and fathers and king decides everything and he puts like optics of democratic country. Doesn't work anymore. Let the people choose their own country. I'm sure they will find a way to, they'll figure it out. And you have lots of people in universities and PhDs that don't have jobs. I think they can do better things than just selling, you know, fruits and vegetables in the markets and washing cars. I think they can come up with a decent, what you call it, constitution. So the opposition in Bahrain, please, just, the kids have grown up. I don't think you need to worry about the government. they're just gonna trick you again, and you've been proven to be, you know what, so naive. Not naive, I think more, very trustful of these guys here who've been 200 years saying the same story, and you kept on just sucking it up. I think it's time for you to let the guys on the street make up their minds. In a nutshell, I think this is the story of Bahrain. We haven't seen the end of it yet, but it looks like the end is gonna come soon, and that's where freedom for Bahrain, she's gonna be there, and everybody gonna live in peace and harmony again, and there will be no more Sunnis and no more Shiites fighting, because you know what, I've never seen a country where people are fighting except when their governments makes them fight. We've seen it other places. So it's not the people who hate each other, it's just the government makes them sometimes, just feel a little bit tense. So once the governments usually straighten up, people love it, and they just live in peace and love again forever and ever and ever. This is the story of Bahrain for those who have no clue where Bahrain is and what's going on in Bahrain. You may hear a little bit more about it in the media, but hopefully it's gonna finish very soon. And that's it. This is me and my messy office telling you the story of Bahrain. Have a good day.